Debate. Atagarla.
Here.
Ulrich.
Here.
Becker.
Here.
Breck.
Here.
Ruick.
Present.
Carter.
Here.
Claiborne.
Here.
DeVore.
Here.
Philippi. Finaldi.
Here.
Garcia. Goff.
Here.
Haas.
Here.
Euler.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Lent.
Here.
Mahoney.
Here.
Mascar.
Here.
Mays.
Here.
McCready. Patel.
Here.
Paulson.
Here.
Rulli. Knapp.
Here.
Seth.
Present.
Sayway.
Here.
Skaggs.
Here.
Slade.
Here.
Stout. Strickland.
Here.
Thornton. Wagmeister.
Present.
All right, we have quorum. Go ahead and proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance with the acting speaker at hand.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we have no program for this evening, so we'll go ahead and proceed into open forum. Open forum serves as an opportunity for students to speak about issues relevant to the student body. If you wish to speak during open forum right now, please approach the podium and state your name and your college. And as a reminder to the body, debate is not permitted during open forum.
Hi everyone, a little loud. My name is Kyle Poon. I am the president of Young Americans for Freedom here on campus. I'm in College of Ag and Life Sciences. So, I've largely left our club finances up to our treasurer, and sadly I could not represent us last week's meeting due to another commitment. Didn't even know we're up for discussion actually, but I knew we had funds and somehow we were not allowed to use them last year and we had to reapply for them this year. Anyway, get on my team for looking out for the next year's students. I did, however, see and learn of what had happened at last week's meeting since then and wanted to make a few comments. So mainly to thank those of you that voted yes for our funding bill, even though it was very odd to find that lawyers needed to be consulted regarding our club, which goes to show the discrimination conservatives find on college campus, or the fact that your advisor advised you for apparently the first time ever. Thank you, by the way. I'm not sure where she's at in this room. And multiple senators had to state that you would lose funding for voting no against us. It was very apparent that we were treated differently than other groups have been in the past. We see student government members smirking and laughing and trying to come up with something negative to say, and my members did not appreciate that. I would like to point out that, however, I did agree with a couple of the senators' comments. Well, they said political organizations. I would argue that not funding partisan organizations is good, just like they argued. Everything is political, though. We have our tax status for a reason. Conservative, right-wing, right of center is not Republican, just as liberal, progressive, or leftist is not Democrat. Some comments made last week were very uninformed, but that does not matter too much at this point. I could come up here and say how much waste of student government is, or that you're LARPers wasting our money and you shouldn't be allowed to appropriate funds, but that's not very productive, is it? You have your own thing here on campus, that is political, and students should urge groups like you and like us and others to do better, not just crap all over them all the time. Let's be productive here and make an actual difference. I know some of you are in that boat as well. So I want to address something with Mr. Devin DeVore. I know we've talked about this already, but quite frankly, I was appalled that you made a couple comments last week. You said that YAF is embodying stereotypes of conservatives, that we are racist, we are outlandish. All those misconceptions that are out there, YAF embodies them, and that is a problem. I'm not sure if you can respond to that right now or say what we did that's racist on campus. Do you have anything there?
Debate is not permitted during open forum.
Great, but these defamatory comments, some of my members found false, and unless you have something racist to point to, I believe our members deserve an apology by the end of the meeting. Even though we do not look at race at YAF, I've had minority members come up to me with problems about your comments. Slander is serious. It is a statement that can injure a reputation, incite hatred, or cause economic damage. And just look at what was up for discussion last week. Seeing that you work for a Republican legislator in Iowa and you are moving to the U.S. Senate this summer, I would hate to see you use tactics like this in the future, especially towards a group working towards common goals. That is toxic and a root of problems in politics. People should not go around spreading falsehoods and expecting no repercussions. Thank you, Mr. DeVore. It was also very interesting to find that you were the 132nd person to register for our Ben Shapiro event, not even 1 hour after tickets went live by only social media and word of mouth alone. We had 300 tickets registered within the hour, so we find it dishonest that you, then 6 hours later, made those comments at the student government meeting. There is an obvious second angle at play here. If you truly wish to represent a conservative mindset, you should not belittle other conservatives just to make yourself look better. This isn't personal. I just think it's a part of a larger problem in this realm that needs to be addressed. Anyway, I don't want to focus too much on the negatives, honestly, and the crazy things that were said last week about going against the rules and the U.S. Constitution. I wanted to mainly come up here and thank those that stood up and did what was right. There are a lot of you that I won't single out due to time, but people like Zastro that I've maybe come across 2 times in my time here at college. It's obviously apparent that you go out and you put so much work into learning and striving to do better on campus, and this is something you really enjoy. So people like you that stood up and said something that actually held the First Amendment to a high standard, thank you. And thank you for all the other senators for sharing your experiences. I know we had one talk about YAL, even though they are a C4 and focus on candidates. If you would like a group that focuses on ideals and not party, the door is always open at YAF, and it would absolutely change your mind to go to a conference like you had said. If you didn't hear, it's free, by the way, free registration for our next conference. Thanks to you guys. I also want to thank, is it Weathers for the great advertisement? Or no, was it you? Someone else gave a great advertisement by reading off our website conference page. Thank you. With that, I would cordially invite every single one of you here tonight, if you are free, April 27th, to register for our Ben Shapiro lecture at Stevens Auditorium. You are a political body, even if you disagree with him, which would be great. You may find it worth your time to show up, and if you show up early enough, we may actually try to find you some nice seats towards the front. So, Young Americans for Freedom at Iowa State is a conservative educational nonprofit that engages in activism on campus. We host our 9/11 Never Forget Memorial Project of 2,977 flags each year, presents a pro-life timeline of fetal development, and show the downfalls of socialism. We aim to bring diverse voices onto campus to challenge the status quo and to share our values of individual freedom, a strong national defense, free enterprise, and traditional values. Thank you, and I hope to see you at that event.
Is anyone else here for open forum? All right, seeing nobody, then we will proceed on to adopting tonight's agenda. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda? Acting Speaker, debate.
I propose the amendment shown on screen to add 2021-2022-3-044 SG to the top of special orders.
All right, there's been a motion. Is there a second? Second. All right, any objection to adding 44 SG to the top of special orders? Excuse me. All right, it's been added. Senator Mahoney.
I move to add 2021-3-043 SE, Section 2 of the Rules Revision, to the bottom of new business.
All right, is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any objection to adding that to the bottom of new business? All right, it's been added. Any other changes to tonight's agenda or motions to approve? All right, is there a second? Second. Any objection to adopting tonight's agenda? All right, it's adopted. Going to approval of minutes from last week. Moved and seconded. Any objection to approving last week's minutes? All right, they're approved. Then we'll go into committee reports with acting speaker, debate with rules first.
Rules Committee had its regular meeting at 6 p.m. last night. We really only had one piece of legislation on the docket for the committee, which was starting over with the financial agreement 2021-3-039 SO. We had representatives from the Iowa State Daily Media Group as well as a couple interested senators in the room. We had a discussion about the bill itself, where it was coming from. If I may go into my assessment of what the meeting was like, I think we also covered some misunderstandings we might have had. And lastly, we concluded that the Daily wasn't able to make it to the meeting tonight. And certainly we'd like to have the Daily in the room while we're having a conversation about the Daily. So in the interest of being representative, that bill has been withheld in rules for a week to move that conversation to next week instead. Other than that, rules also talked briefly about bylaw review. We also talked about our transition report and what that would look like, as Speaker Weathers did, well, Acting Chair Weathers did remind us in the group meeting earlier today. All committees are required to have transition reports as well, including rules, and we're working on that. We also touched really quickly on Section 2 of the rules revision, written up by Senator Mahoney, and that will be something we will be seeing on new business later today. That is really all. If you have any questions, feel free to pose those to myself or Speaker Weathers.
Any questions for Acting Speaker Debate? And then we will proceed on to Finance Committee's report with Finance Secretary Zastro.
Howdy, y'all. So I sent out the money zone earlier today. There was not too much towards the end of this term. There's not too much that we have left to go on. Finance Committee next week, you'll see a couple line item transfers, but we don't have any finance bills up for next week. For tonight, we had 3 bills funding Tennis Club, which was postponed indefinitely because the organization they submitted their request before spring break, and it was like 3 weeks out from the time that they submitted the request, but it just worked really unevenly with our meetings, so it would have been like almost 3 entire weeks before they would have been able to get funded. Their event was between the initial time that they submitted and then, so I just line item transferred from other events that they were going to instead of giving them new funding. That way they were able to get the funding for their competition. So that bill was tabled indefinitely, postponed indefinitely, Funding Disc Golf Club was sent favorably with some minor amendments. And like Vice Speaker Debate said, starting over with the financial agreement, the bill about the Daly's contract was sent no bias from Finance Committee, but it was tabled for a week in Rules Committee, so we'll be seeing that next week. The one other thing is for committee chairs and also any cabinet members who are in the room, if you want to have like a binder for like transition binder, let me know if you want anything like, sheets or like dividers. That's something that we have money in the budget for office supplies. Just let me know if that's something that you're interested in. Otherwise, I don't have anything. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
All right, we'll proceed on to Public Relations Committee's report with Director Garmin.
Evening, everyone. Today, Christian had a tabling session. We were able to fill up all those slots, so we didn't get dinged again. But there'll be one more tabling session that Christian will send out a message and group me in an email. For next week, that'll be the final time for you to get your outreach credits in for the remainder of your term. Thanks to everyone that Jamie did some interviews with some of the chief officers for the newsletter and for social media. So thanks to those of you who made time for her the last couple of weeks. I think she has one more with Director Zastro. Oh, got it done? Perfect. And then the newsletter, my last newsletter, will go out next week, which will include those interviews and just a couple other things, spotlighting the newly elected senators. And then next week, which I'll talk more about that next week at the last meeting, but I want to take some pictures and videos after the meeting, so don't rush out of here next week. And then this Friday, Christian and I are meeting with Sophia just to talk about outreach efforts for next year and going over transition documents and kind of just setting up the next PR team for success. But thanks.
Any questions for Director Garmin? All right, then we'll proceed on to the Committee on Student Diversity with Director Booman.
Hi, everyone. Not a whole lot of updates from me. Next Monday, I will be giving the inclusive language presentation with Senator Claiborne to the ISU Daily and to Trend Magazine. I'll also be creating that generalized presentation. Have not got around to that, but I will. Otherwise, just closing up a few things here. We have our final official meeting tomorrow for DEI committee. Next week, we will be having a fun kind of last-minute DEI bonding meeting just to end out the semester in a good way. I will not be at Senate next week because I have dress rehearsal for the fashion show. So unfortunately, this is my last meeting tonight with all of you. But I want to say thank you for the opportunity to let me work with you all. I had such a great time, and I'm excited to do what everyone does in the future.
Any questions for Director Booman? All right, we'll proceed on to Student Initiative Committee on their report with Senator South.
Howdy, everyone. Happy second to last Senate meeting of this session. SI committee had its regular meeting on Monday. We voted on the resolution that's up for its second read tonight for Election Day. That was sent favorably by SI committee unanimously with just a couple little things on it. We also had a subcommittee meeting for our Take Back the Night event that we were wanting to do. Unfortunately, at the meeting, we decided to pull the event, so that event has been postponed to next semester. So now we only have 2 events remaining this semester. We'll be doing Safety Walk on April 14th, so that's the day after the first meeting of the new Senate at 8 p.m. It'll be great. We're going to be ordering Jimmy John's very soon, hopefully, assuming our line item is passed. And then our second and final event of the semester will be Wolves and Wellness, which we'll have on April 25th. That's a Monday from 11 to 1. The therapy dogs will be there, and there will be donuts. So you should come because everybody loves dogs. And yeah, that's about all I had besides mental health first aid. That was on Sunday. And yeah, that was on Sunday, right? Yeah. And it was a great time. So yeah, any questions?
Senator Mahoney.
I just wanted to throw out there with the mental health first aid that I kind of ran through SI. It went really well. Obviously, needed more advertising. That's a continued problem that student government's having this year, though. So Kinsey and April, there's a new version of it coming out. They're getting trained in it on this summer. And so there is a continued ongoing conversation about bringing it around again next year and starting making it a more regular thing. This was sort of meant to be a pilot program. So if anybody is interested in helping me sort of bring it to campus in a more substantive manner to make it open to more and more students, it was a really, really great thing to go through, and it was really, really helpful. Please come talk to me. I'd love to work with some more people on this and to work with more members of SI to bring this to campus in a greater capacity next year.
Any questions for Senator South? All right, then we'll proceed on to Local Affairs Committee with ex officio Poundstown. Push and hold, then release.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I don't use the microphone very often. So, yes, we have a few things. Tonight, we're adding 2 members to the committee, 1 senator and 1 at-large. Thank you for everyone who came to the joint meeting today. It was really good, had a lot of good discussion. I will send out some information from that tonight or tomorrow. Working on some transition documents as well as just some other documents for the committee since it's new. And then the day at the county event, I emailed some people about that yesterday. So if you got that email, please look at it and respond to it and let me know. And that is all.
Any questions?
Good evening, everybody. We had our second to last meeting, what time is it, 6:30, an hour and a half ago. We are working on wrapping things up, putting together subcommittee reports to pass on to the next committee, just so they can hit the ground running next year. Running through the list of things in my head. I am working on figuring out what my involvement will look like in the Supplemental Input Committee for the Climate Action Plan next year. And what that'll look like when I'm not Director of Sustainability anymore. Earth Month is coming up. That is through the Office of Sustainability, so not my role, but like a separate entity on campus. I encourage you to follow the Live Green social media and stay updated on those events. The biggest one is the Earth Day celebration, April 22nd, from 10 to 2 in the Parks Library lawn, on the Parks Library lawn.
Any questions for Director Smith? All right, that concludes our committee reports. Next, we'll go on to comments from the Student Government Advisor with Sophia Sarver.
Okay, hello everyone. You made it to your second to last meeting of the year. There's only one more after this. I don't have a ton to say today, but if you are a returning senator, please be on the lookout for an email. I'm going to meet with everybody before the end of the academic year just to say hi, see how all you're doing, kind of get ready for the next year. So please be on the lookout for that. Also, this is my weekly reminder that if you have not picked up your t-shirt, please let me know. I'm just going to bring them next week. So I'm going to like lug the box up. So it's kind of like the, please take it. But if you'd like to get it anytime sooner, please let me know. Also, if you are a committee chair or in charge of a committee, and you would like to figure out what you're planning for transition documentation, I'm more than happy to sit down and figure out with you what you're specifically wanting to kind of convey, or brainstorming ideas, or just helping you recap the whole year. So anything like that, I'm more than happy to assist. So please let me know. I may also check in with all of you just to double check how that process is going. So that's it.
Then we'll go on to comments from the Judicial Branch. Is there a representative from the Judicial Branch here this evening? Doesn't appear so. We'll go on to comments from the Executive Branch with Chief of Staff Ludwig.
Hi, everyone. Julia is still in D.C., and then Megan's flight got delayed, so I am just filling in for tonight. A couple things that happened last week that Julia and Megan were working on. The Director of Equal Opportunity Search final meetings happened last week with the student interest groups meeting with the candidates. So Julia and Megan got to meet with them last week on a couple different occasions. Then there was the Sports Club Council informational meeting that happened on Thursday to talk about some of the new safety policies that are coming out. There'll be meetings to come after that with the individual sports clubs in question between administration and them to inform them on the new policy and how they will be affected. Additionally, Julia and Megan met with Director Affordability Anderson about Financial Literacy Month and some of the programming that they're hoping to do then. The Information Technology Student Advisory Meeting was on Friday, and Julia attended with Director Khan. And then the DPS Police Student Advisory Board meeting was this Monday, and I think we discussed some of the goings on there earlier in the meeting, so I won't go into that. Julia wanted me to remind you that inauguration is April 12th, and that the last day to RSVP will be in the Campbell Scoop that she sends out later. Lastly, while I have the mic, I'm going to give a quick SciRide update, which is that SciRide just got a $3.1 million grant to purchase 3 more electric buses. So I just want to share that because I love SciRide. So,
Any questions for the Executive Branch? All right. Director Smith.
Are those 3 buses in addition to the ones from earlier in the semester?
yes, so we are up to 5 now, and there's actually 2 more on the way after that, and then there's another grant that's coming down the line that might offer a lot more, but we're not really sure about that yet.
Any other questions? All right, then we'll proceed with our business for this evening, starting with external matters, general orders 2021-3-024F, funding disc golf club. So Senator Wagmeister.
Yeah, if there's a representative from Disc Golf Club, go ahead and approach the podium, explain the request. Yeah, this is additional funding for an event that we already have, I believe, given some funding for, but go ahead and explain that.
Hi, everybody. I'm filling in today, the president of the IC Disc Golf Club. Reese Dodge, our treasurer, is, more in charge of this stuff. We find it a bit more than me, but I'll try to do my best. We have our national tournament coming up next week. We meet Sunday morning. That is in Marion, North Carolina. We're really excited for that. I think the funding that you were referring to is from last fall when we took a trip to Arkansas. That was for our qualifier tournament. We are now into the final national championship side of it. So what we are requesting is money for registration fees for the tournament. So we need to register
2 teams of 4 people each, and that comes out to $800 in total. We also have registration for college disc golf, which is a required registration if you want to participate in college disc golf events. And so that one, we have 4 new players on top of the players that we had from the Arkansas regional qualifier trip. So those 4 memberships come out to $260. And then we are also requesting funds for a 15-passenger van rental through the university as well.
Okay, yeah, so I think what it was they missed annuals. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have a budget for FY22, which is this current fiscal year.
Yeah, so they had missed annuals, so now they're just requesting funding that typically would have been in annual allocations. While I have the mic, I will move the Finance Committee amendments.
All right, any objection? I will enter in debate on the Finance Committee amendments.
Call the question.
Which has been called and seconded. Any objection to going into a vote now? All right, all those unanimous consent has been called for. Any objection to approving the Finance Committee amendments by way of unanimous consent? All right, they are adopted. Back on the bill as a whole. Question's been called second. Any objection into proceeding into a vote? All right, any closing comments, Senator Wagmeister? Waived. We'll proceed with the roll call vote. All right, Senator Debate.
Yes.
Adegarla?
Yes.
Ulrich?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
Brecht?
Yes.
Ruick?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Claiborne?
Yes.
DeVore?
Yes.
Finaldi?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Haas?
Yes.
Kueller?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Lent?
Yes.
Mahoney?
Yes.
Maskar?
Yes.
Mays?
Yes.
Patel?
Yes.
Paulson?
Yes.
Knapp?
Yes.
Seth?
Yes.
Stayway? Skaggs?
Yes.
Slade? Strickland?
Yes.
Wagmeister?
Yes.
All right, with a vote of 27 to 0, the bill passes.
Thank you, everybody.
27. And then we'll proceed on to the top of special orders with 2021-3-044 SG. I believe I'm the author of that. The co-author is Senator Slade.
Sorry. Okay. Speaker Weathers introduced this bill to me today. This is just confirming a member to local affairs. It looks like Senator Paulson is being confirmed to local affairs as a senator, and the nominee is Peyton Rolling to be confirmed as an at-large.
Go ahead and approach the podium. Is the nominee Peyton Rolling here this evening?
No, he's not, but we have a statement for him.
Okay.
And Sonia will read it.
He'll be here, like down the road. He said he would like to join the local affairs committee because I feel that I could make a difference by helping others. I think as a person who has never lived within a larger community before, my opinions on how the community could be more welcoming and less overwhelming to people like me would be a great help. I also want to help the community better communicate with students to help people get more involved. And then one of his ideas from my committee that he was actually really excited about was actually the resolution that will be coming up next, just about encouraging students to vote on election day. And then another thing that he was interested in would be making like a pamphlet or something of like all the local businesses and like events to do in Ames, and having those in residence halls so that freshmen who are new to Ames can see what is available here. But that is all.
All right, you yield, Senator Slade. All right, Senator Seth.
So I have a question. I guess this is for either Senator Paulson or I guess you'd be the chair. Yeah, I can't. Anyway, so there's like basically two meetings. Like this is the second to last meeting of our term. So I guess I'm just a little, confused as to why are we doing this now? So are you intending to stay on the committee?
I'm not against it. I just Trevor let him. Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to Dawson, and me and him thought that just getting a few people to get transitions and some established plans would be a good idea for the next group, since it will be something new.
Yeah, just so that we can talk before I leave and stuff. Just as many ideas possible in the committee before I leave and stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I was also going to ask, do you know if at-large rolling would intend to continue? on the
Yeah, I did
committee?
ask him, and he's interested in being on this committee for right now and then next term or whatever. He would like to stay on this committee.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. I was just a little confused because there's like basically 2 weeks left, and I'm not sure like how many concrete things you're going to get done in 2 weeks.
No, very valid question. Yeah. No, you're
All right,
good.
thank you. I yield. That makes total sense.
Acting Speaker Adbate.
Very quickly, Senator Paulson, just from a position. Just from a position of the transition itself, I was wondering if you could expand more on the state of civic engagement at the point of its dissolution and what you see transitioning over to the local affairs committee, in what manner, and how you can best assist in that.
Just with that, I'd like to kind of, with like the civic engagement, since that is like a subcommittee of the local affairs, I think kind of establishing more of like when good times for that committee to, when they should be most active and stuff like that, and kind of their roles on that, just because an issue with the civic engagement committee is we struggled with like a purpose of when we should be active and when we shouldn't be, of like, just since not every year is an election year. So I'd like to help kind of guide those rules of what that would look like. And then what was your other part of your question? Sorry.
Yeah, the state of civic engagement at the point of its dissolution, what you see transitioning over, and how you see your role being in assisting that.
Yeah, so the state of the committee at like the time of when we changed it to local affairs was pretty, I'm not going to say it wasn't very active. We weren't really sure what to do. A decent amount of the members of the committee were also seniors and were graduating, so I think their future of looking into the committee wasn't as, they're graduating. So there was that as well, if that answers your question.
Just my question. I trust you will use your experience to ensure the new local affairs committee is better equipped to tackle those same challenges, which I presume some of which would carry over as well.
Yeah.
I will yield and call the question.
My question has been called and seconded. Any objection? All right, then we'll go ahead and go into closing comments with Senator Slade. All right, they've been waived. Then we'll go ahead and proceed into a vote. Unanimous consent has been called for. Is there any objection to approving this bill by way of unanimous consent? All right, it's approved.
Thank you.
Just a moment. Then we'll proceed on to 2021-3-026J, supporting student voting on Election Day, with Senator Paulson again.
Hello, everyone. So I hope you've all gotten a chance to read this. Basically, it's just kind of outlining Iowa State students who are less likely to vote, as well as just kind of stating that we would encourage faculty to be more accommodating to students on election days and stuff like that. And with that, I would like to move to replace excuse with be flexible with, just to make sure that we aren't dictating what faculty can and cannot do. With wording, we talked with Karen Kudrowski on this, and she, as well as Faculty Senate, would prefer this wording as well. So yeah.
There's been a motion to amend the second resolved clause to replace the word excuse with to be flexible with, and a second. Go into discussion on that. Question has been called and seconded. We'll proceed into a vote. Unanimous consent has been called for. Is there any objection to adopting this amendment by way of unanimous consent? All right. Back to the bill. Back to Senator Paulson.
Does anyone have any questions on anything? Vice Speaker Adbate, or do you have a question?
Yeah. Acting Speaker Adbate.
Okay, before I get started, I'd like to move the amendment on screen proposed by Senator Seth, adding DINA students to a younger onto the bill.
Objection.
there an objection to withdraw?
Yes.
No, please don't.
Do you withdraw your objection?
Yes.
I object.
Or your amendment,
I
excuse me.
didn't
Okay,
object.
yeah, excuse me. All right, he withdraws his amendment. Back on the bill as a whole.
I will pose a question to Senator Claiborne.
Yeah. Toya Younger isn't Dean of Students. Just wondering what language you wanted for that specifically.
This is not my amendment. I was simply moving it. I will drop this right now, and I think this is better tackled by the two senators talking.
Just
on
as a
their
point of
individual
information, this is
privileges.
a SI committee amendment as well.
Yeah, so can you repeat your question?
Yeah. It says Dean of Students Toya Younger. I just didn't know if you wanted Dean of, because Toya Younger isn't Dean of Students. That's Sharon Evans.
Oh, is it vice president? Okay. Yeah, so we must have made a mistake.
Yeah,
in SI
just wanted to make
committee.
that clear.
All right, point of
So-
order. This is Senator Bates speaking privilege still.
I yield then.
Yeah, I think, yeah, if you want to get the titles right, I will move to the point I wanted to make when I put my placard up. This is a question I'd like to pose to the primary sponsor of the bill, Senator Paulson. I do appreciate the fact that the bill seems really well researched and fleshed out. I appreciate the volume of whereas clauses laying out the background. Considering it is going to a lot of prominent individuals within the community, I was wondering, what we normally do on resolutions like these is have a citation, or I was wondering if you knew where the information came from, so we could perhaps add that citation in the footnote.
Yeah, so I do not have that. This was kind of sent through Karen Kudrowski. I can ask for those citations and get those for that, but I do not have them with me currently.
If you'd like to do that. I think it just helps us look more professional and also just having backing for the claims we're making.
For
right?
sure.
Thank you. And I appreciate the fact that those are there in the first place. I will yield for the rest of the discussion that I think needs to happen.
Senator Mahoney.
I was going to propose the SI committee amendments, but obviously we got the title wrong during SI. So I will instead move Senator Claiborne's amendments, Senior Vice President of Student Affairs Toya Younger, comma, Dean of Student Sharon Evans.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to, would you refrain what exactly you are amending?
The one, I suppose actually, now the one Advait has, our Vice Speaker Advait has included onto the screen, which was a copy of what Senator Claiborne wanted.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to amend the third to last resolved clause to add the phrase Senior Vice President of Student Affairs Toya Younger, Dean of Student Sharon Evans. Student Affairs Sharon Evans. All right, enter into discussion on that particular amendment. Senator Claiborne.
Yeah, okay. I also, Dean of Students, Sharon Evans. Sorry, I just put student as a singular, but what I see on the screen is correct.
Question's been called and seconded. We'll enter into a vote on this particular amendment. Unanimous consent has been called for. Is there any objection to adopting this amendment by way of unanimous consent? All right, been adopted. Back on the bill as a whole.
Second.
Question has been called and seconded. Is there any objection to entering into a vote? All right, then we go to the closing closing author speaking privilege of Senator Paulson.
I don't really have much. I hope you all vote yes. I think this would be really good in just making Election Day more accessible for students. That's it.
All right, go ahead and enter into a vote then. Unanimous consent has been called for. Is there any objection to adopting this resolution by way of unanimous consent? All right, it's been adopted. Okay. All right, then we'll enter into new business, the start of which is 2021-3-027Y, Finance and Rules Joint Revision, Section 3, with myself, Let me see who the co-author is on that. I believe it's Acting Speaker at Bate. Yep.
Howdy, folks. While my computer does its thing. Okay, so this is the bill. I believe this is the bill that came out of discussions, a joint meeting we had with Finance Committee last semester. It simply is making changes to Section 3 of the Senate rules, which at the time was, well, and also Chapter 5 of the bylaws, I think, in some. Nope, just Section 3. Never mind. Yeah, it is just incorporating the changes we've made, the changes we discussed at that joint meeting. If you have further questions, any member of Rules Committee or Finance Director Zastro would be an appropriate place to direct those.
All right. Are there any questions of intent for Acting Speaker at Bate? All right, then we will move on to 2021-3-041 SR, supporting clean energy generation in Iowa State with Senator Seth.
Hi, everyone. So this is a resolution that a club came to me about writing. The organization in question is listed as the co-sponsor on the bill, Climate Reality Campus Corps. They're, I think, 501c organization, mostly focusing on climate action, climate policy, that sort of a thing. And they were interested in trying to essentially write a bill talking about the boiler transition at the power plant and how they're not necessarily in favor of the boiler transition to natural gas, and then also kind of calling on the university to make some other steps towards carbon neutrality and working on climate action planning at the university level, which is, as you all are aware from the joint council meeting, is something going on within the city. So this is the bill that we wrote together. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will happily answer them. I see Zastro in the back.
Is it your intention to have somebody from the university to speak on these issues?
Yes.
All right, Senator DeVore.
Have you contacted or spoke with anyone at the university about the price points of the university's proposed option versus your guys' proposed option?
This is a point of order. That's not a question of intent. You have to ask about their intention.
I said, have you made contact with?
Right. I'm afraid you have to ask about the intent of the author with this particular bill, not about whether or not what they have or have not done.
Okay. Do you intend to speak with anyone at the university about the price points of either option?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Acting Speaker Bate.
Do you intend to have representatives from the co-sponsoring organization in question present at the meeting?
Yes.
Any other questions of intent for Senator Seth? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to 2021-3-028F, funding a gender-neutral bathroom and lead recreation center with Senator Claiborne.
Yeah, so this is the bill to fund the bathroom in lead rec that has been full year process, year and a half. But yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask now, or if you want to know just more information, I am happy to talk to whoever, whenever.
Any questions of intent for Senator Claiborne? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to 2021-3-042SO, correcting dispersal of funds for organizations no longer needing them with Senator Bruick.
Hey everyone, this is a bill to account for the changes and the uncertainty going on with the sports club council review the university is doing. I will yield my speaking privilege to Finance Director Zastro.
Yeah, so we passed this last Wednesday, the big picture bill that'll do allocations to all the members of Sports Club Council. And then the day after that, on the Thursday, me, Chief of Staff Ludwig, and President Campbell and Vice President Decker met with the university administration who've been part of that review. And this is a pretty significant change. This is something that that I believe Chief of Staff Ludwig would discuss in the executive update. But there's about 15 organizations that are going to have to transition in some significant capacity, and that will be implemented by the beginning of the next school year. And so as far as the accounting side of that goes, we're going to know by by the end of the summer what organizations are going to continue to exist as they've been regularly functioning, which organizations will choose to move entirely off campus, meaning we will no longer be funding them, and which one of them will be considered enthusiast organizations, meaning that they no longer are competing or traveling or paying for insurance under the purview of Iowa State University, although they still could use like advertising style disbursements from student government. So this is just allowing for that kind of flexibility over the summer. It's a very dynamic situation, which is why there aren't specifics in this bill. This is just enabling for the finance director and the president over the summer to account for those changes.
Any questions of intent for Finance Director Zastrow or Senator Brewer? Acting Speaker Debate.
Do you intend to correct using a Senate order to instruct a member of the executive branch to carry out a certain action?
No.
All right, I will yield.
Any other questions of intent? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to 2021-3-043 SE with Senator Mahoney.
So this is part of Rules Committee's normal, I guess, rules/bylaw review. These are essentially changes that Rules Committee sort of drafted up in our overlookings of the bill. It's pretty standard. I think the only change of any substance is updating the fact that the oath of office be administered by the Supreme Court instead of how it was saying that it's supposed to be updated or done by the Speaker. Otherwise, a lot of it's just cleanup. There were 2 open questions still within this chapter, but those are outside of the scope of a singular bylaw review bill.
All right, any questions of intent for Senator Mahoney? All right, seeing none, then we'll move on to closing announcements. Does anyone have a closing announcement at this time? Senator Haas?
Hi, everyone. Bryce and I were in a group project together, and we're having a focus group tomorrow at 3:30 in Hamilton Hall. So if you're free, I encourage you all to join.
All right, Chief of Staff Ludwig? Oh, sorry, I missed that placard. Finance Director Zastrow.
Howdy, y'all. Thanks for another great meeting. I just wanted to say thank you for Director Boomin for all the service you provided this semester. It's been really great having you around. I didn't have too much next week. I did just want to say I'm really excited that Senator Claiborne's bathroom project is coming around. I remember the first meeting last year when the bill was introduced, and it has been a very long process getting it here, but a lot of work has gone into the project behind the scenes. So if there are any questions about that, Senator Claiborne obviously knows the most, but I've been in pretty close contact with him about a lot of that too, as well as President Campbell. That's all I got. And Director Kahn's got something.
Victor Kahn?
Hello, everyone. As DEI Director Boomin alluded to earlier, the fashion show is happening next week. Both her and I will be participating as models. I know, shocker that I'm going to be let in there, but it is what it is. As such, I will also be missing next week's meeting. So this will be my last official meeting. I'm sure you'll see more of me once we hopefully confirm the next director of IT. If that doesn't happen, you'll see me when I haunt you all. But it's been a great time serving student government, starting as an engineering center and then being director of IT now and graduating, hopefully going on to bigger and better things. But yeah, thank you.
Senator Mahoney?
I just want to throw out there, obviously it got tabled in Rules Committee this week because a representative couldn't be there. But I would hesitantly expect to see the daily bill next week. So I would encourage all of you to continue talking, continue finding out your facts, finding out what the reality of the situation is. It's a pretty serious, pretty big bill. So please continue to talk about it with each other so we can all come in with an informed debate, because it'll probably be a pretty long and arduous debate.
All right. Are there any closing announcements? Are there any other closing announcements at this time? Got a placard over there? Okay. Then I guess was my closing announcement. I just want to thank everybody for your leniency again. This is not my job, so thank you for not making fun of me too much afterwards. One thing I do want to touch on is the transition reports. That's already been mentioned, but that's incredibly important. All of us leave, but student government continues. So making sure that we do transition reports well. Everyone who's in a committee, you should be seeing transition reports. You should be working on those. The executive branch has their own transition reports. But once you get those done, send them to Vice Speaker at Bate, and he will ensure the continuity between administrations. Other than that, I just want to thank everybody for their debate and their participation during the city council meeting. I harped on it 1,000 times, but that relationship is incredibly important to me, and I know it's incredibly important to a lot of you in this room because it's meaningful. It results in a lot of impact. So I don't have anything else. We will turn over to Acting Vice Speaker and Acting Speaker at Bate. Sorry, Acting Vice Speaker Ulrich and Acting Speaker at Bate.
Yeah, sorry about the little technical difficulties. Don't really know what's going on there, but have a good night.
All right, I have a couple quick things before we can all run out of here and resume our lives outside of student government, most of us at least. Senator Mahoney touched on this a little, but the bill about concerning the daily media group has been pushed back to next week. I think we should take this as another opportunity to come in with the most sharpened arguments and the most to have that informed, accurate debate, because that's genuinely how we as Senate function best, how our deliberative democratic bodies function the best, and that's how we come out with the best outcomes that we possibly can with all the decisions that we do make or do not make. Other than that, Vice Speaker stuff, please continue doing your office hours. As a reminder, we are all in office until April 12th at 6:17 p.m. or whenever inauguration happens, and we have a responsibility to our constituents, and we have the full force and authority of our offices until then. We are as responsible on the last day as we are on the first, and I would like to encourage all of you to keep going the way you have. Transition reports, as Speaker Weather said, complete those as you see fit, send those in to me, and we can have those archived and ready for our successors to take a look at. Lastly, as we're getting into a new Senate, what's going to happen at the first meeting is elections for Senate officerships as well as committee leadership. And what I just wanted to offer myself as a resource there. If you want to talk about what Senate officerships looks like or committee leadership looks like, I would like to encourage all of you to run. Experience really isn't a defining characteristic for any of these positions as much as having the right attitude and really caring about these positions is. So I would like to, again, love to have a chat with you, to walk you through what it looks like, and perhaps one of my greatest regrets in student government is not doing more earlier. And all of us truly are capable of doing great things. We just need to believe in ourselves. And this is me speaking to myself personally, but make that clear. But yeah, I'm happy to talk. Please reach out, email, text, what have you. And lastly, Dawson, I don't know what you're talking about. You did a great job tonight. I will yield with that.
Is there any objection? All right, we're adjourned.